channel, that we're starting in a few minutes, so starting in a few seconds.
Yeah, I have already. I just did.
All right.
Yes, so we can begin now. Uh, okay. Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Michelle Edusa. The uh, I work as the Alumni Engagement Executive for the Tony Elumelu Foundation. And with me here on the call is Ife Sinachi Opago. So she's the Group Head, Marketing and Corporate Communications at Heirs Holdings. So thank you very much, everyone, for joining us on the call. And yes, today we're going to be speaking on a very, very interesting topic. It's on the power of storytelling, how to craft your brand narrative to make your brand stand out. So yes, I'm aware that there's French, there's Portuguese, and there's Arabic. So what we're going to do on the call is that I will be assisting with the French translation. But for the Portuguese and Arabic, after this live, I would send the link of the recorded translation in the two other languages so that everyone will be aware, keep everyone abreast of what we discussed as well. So I encourage us to stay tuned, listen more, and so we can take the lessons from the sessions and apply to our businesses. So the French version. So je m'appelle Michelle Edoussonwa et je travaille en tant que responsable de l'engagement des entrepreneurs de la Fondation Tony Elumelu. Et aujourd'hui, ce webinaire, nous avons comme facilitatrice Ife Sinachi Opago, qui est le chef de groupe marketing et communication d'entreprise chez Health Holdings. Et ce que nous allons faire maintenant, c'est nous allons parler du pouvoir de la narration. Comment créer le récit de votre marque pour la faire ressortir. Et maintenant, je vais vous encourager de rester connecté et pour qu'on puisse appliquer ce qu'on va apprendre à votre business. Merci bien.
All right. Thank you so much, Michelle. And hello, everyone. It's a pleasure to be here. And I'm hoping that at the end of the session that we would have all at least picked something unique for our businesses. So I'm going to put up my screen. And while I'm doing that, let me also say, and just kind of extol everyone. Entrepreneurship is not easy at all. In fact, it's not like Nigerians say, it's not beans. Entrepreneurship is not easy at all. So for you to be an entrepreneur, for you to have persevered this long and still persevering, I say a huge congratulations to you and well done. This session is going to add value to you. Looking at your business, looking at what you've achieved so far, and even looking forward. How do you want to position yourself going forward? So I'm really confident that at least there'll be something to take away from this session. So just getting right into it because of time. Michelle, do I pause?
Yeah, please. Alors, ce que Fesnachi est en train de dire, c'est qu'elle vous félicite et elle vous dit que félicitations pour le fait que vous êtes des entrepreneurs, que le fait d'être un entrepreneur, c'est pas très facile. Donc, pour le fait que vous êtes ici depuis longtemps en tant qu'entrepreneur, c'est une grande chose. Et elle dit qu'il faut écouter à disons, à ce webinaire pour qu'on puisse apprendre concernant la marque. Yeah. Continue.
All right, thank you, Michelle. So a brief introduction about me. I would spend just a minute or less. I was once a startup entrepreneur. In fact, I still call myself an entrepreneur at heart. And I've also helped other startups achieve growth. I have a background in marketing and strategy, in content writing, and I'm also a filmmaker till today, till tomorrow. Um, I'm passionate about knowledge sharing, hence that's why I'm here today. Another opportunity to share knowledge, and especially when it relates to the African market. So I'll just pause for a bit.
OK, d'accord. Ife Sinachi dit qu'elle était En fait, elle était un entrepreneur avant qui a aidé des personnes, disons, dans la croissance de leur business et elle sait une chose de concernant, plutôt, elle est une experte, quoi, concernant le marketing, la stratégie et l'écriture des contenus et même les produits, disons, des films. Aussi, elle a la passion concernant le partage de la connaissance et quand on parle du marché africain. Yeah, you can continue, please.
Yeah. So I'm also part of the founding team that built Hairs Insurance Group, one of the companies I currently work in, from zero to present hero and going still far. I currently oversee, like Michelle said, a couple of organizations in Hairs Holdings Group, including Transcorp Group, Tony Elumelu Foundation, and Hairs Energies. And I was once in TEF as a marketing and communications head. So I'm part of the family, the TEF family. I'm an active mentor. I love mentorship and, create time, especially for women. And I'm pursuing my doctorate degree. Like I put a caveat there just to make people laugh. I'm wondering who sent me because this is such a tough journey, but we're on the journey. All
OK.
right, Michelle.
Euh, euh, OK, d'accord. Ce qu'elle a dit, c'est qu'elle fait partie de l'équipe qui a fondé Heirs Insurance Group. C'est une société qui est fondée par Tony, mais elle a fait partie de l'équipe. Aussi, elle dirige l'équipe de marketing et communication partout dans le groupe Transcorp, la Fondation Tunumelu et Hairs Energies en tant que chef de groupe. Et aussi, elle était un monteur actif, surtout pour les femmes qui veulent être des dirigeantes. Et maintenant, au moment, elle est en train de faire son doctorat, quoi. Mais c'est pas facile pour elle. C'est ce qu'elle est en train de dire. On continue.
Okay, thank you. So getting right into it, and I thought to share a bit of background because as we go into this presentation, I'll be sharing a few examples and experience, from my own experience, as a filmmaker, as a content person, as a marketing person. So
OK.
why do we even tell stories? Why is this important? I feel very strongly that we tell stories because we want to build trust. There's something that we want to pass along, a message we want to pass along. But for business owners, we tell stories because we want to get people to trust us. Yeah.
OK, d'accord. Elle est en train de dire que pourquoi est-ce qu'on doit raconter une histoire? Elle dit que la première chose, c'est pour qu'on puisse nous croire, c'est-à-dire la foi en nous. Let's continue.
Right. And there are other reasons why storytelling matters, especially for, again, a small and fast growing business. The business has hit medium, mid-size is still growing, whether it's large, is still growing. One obviously is consistency in terms of your brand personality. That's one of the key reasons why storytelling matters, right? Consistency in terms of your brand and your voice.
Okay.
Another reason is funding. So important. Who doesn't need funds for their business? I know everybody does. And so storytelling is important for funding reasons.
OK. Ce qu'elle est en train de dire, c'est que il y a des raisons pour lesquelles il faut disons, dire ou bien raconter une histoire avec sa marque. Une chose, c'est concernant être consistante, quoi. Faire des choses continues parce que votre histoire vous donne votre marque, disons, une identité, une voix. Et aussi, il y a concernant le financement et l'investisseur. Si vous continuez à, disons, mettre votre marque plus visible, il y aura, disons, des opportunités pour le financement et même pour les investissements.
Another reason why storytelling matters is partnerships. At some point, you'll be reaching out for, to forge partnerships. And so it's very important that you get your story right, especially as you speak to potential partners. And then talent, because I mean, even if you are a one-man entrepreneur, at some point you want to expand and get people working for you. So again, your story matters because it will determine whether they should come work for you or not.
Ok. Alors, une autre chose pour le récit, c'est concernant le partenariat. Parce que en racontant votre histoire, il faudra avoir, disons, des partenaires. Donc, si vous, disons, racontez votre histoire, l'histoire qui reflète la mission de votre marque, vous verrez qu'il y aura des partenaires qui seront plutôt très intéressés et même en même temps, vous pouvez, disons, retenir des talents qui sont très importants pour votre business parce qu'il y aura des fois plutôt que vous voudrez élargir votre business. C'est ça. Puis on continue.
Right. Thank you. So before we get right into it, we already know the reason why storytelling is important. But let's start with an exercise because I want this to be exceptionally engaging so that you go out with something. So in 2 minutes, can you tell us your story? And let me explain. When you are telling a story, you're telling it to different audiences. So sometimes you don't have one story that meets, or, ticks all the boxes, right? So right now, I want us to focus on the investor market. So please write down 1 or 2 sentence alone, just 1 or 2 sentence pitch to an investor about your business. And then the second to customers, write 1 or 2 sentence descriptor about your business that we can use on your website and put it in the chat box because as we go, you'd keep referring to it as we go on.
OK. D'accord. Ici, Sinachi nous donne un exercice, disons, une chose à faire. Elle dit que concernant cette marque, la marque, il faut écrire disons, 1 ou 2 phrases concernant la description de votre business. Ça, c'est un. Et disons, pour 2 personnes, pour l'investisseur et pour les clients, 1 ou 2 phrases. Et après avoir écrit ça, il faut écouter et quand on parle, quand on discute, vous pourrez plus apprendre comment, disons, comment écrire, comment faire une narration. Yeah, we can continue.
Okay, great. Michelle, you need to help me because I need to, get 1 or 2 feedback from people. What have they rated? For investors, please mark it. For investors, this is my pitch, you write it. For customers, write your pitch. So 2 minutes.
OK, d'accord. OK. Alors, il faut que nous commençons à écrire maintenant. Please, let's engage. This has to be a very, very, conversational webinar. Il faut que ce soit très conversationnel.
The 2 minutes while we get a few
Pour 2
people,
minutes.
while we get a few,
Yeah.
people responding.
Yes. Yeah.
And please just read out a few that you've received.
Okay. I'm still expecting responses. So
Sure.
one of them has responded. She said, her name is Ohale Kelechi. She says at Lexet Enterprise, we provide every happy home with a healthy edible cooking oil. Then another person has responded. This one, he put investor first, then column. He said, I turn learning to fun games. Yeah, I don't know what he does.
Okay.
So I'm still expecting other responses.
Okay, great.
Yeah.
So just 1 minute more.
So for Ogechi, the same person who said I turn learning to fun games, he said it like he's saying it to an investor. Then for customers, he said, I help your child learn better through fun.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
Okay, so 1 more minute while we get, a few more people respond.
Yes, so another person from NJM Web TV says he's from Cameroon. He says, we make our products with love for you to love them with passion. Okay, more people are responding. Fadekemi Adeoti, she says, at Creative Mind Inclusive Academy, we educate children with disabilities with individualized education program. Then more are coming
For
in. Do I keep
investors
on
or for
reading?
cost? No. Just I think this will be last. Is this for investors or
Or
for
for,
customers?
she did not specify.
Okay.
She
So at
she
some
didn't
point we
specify.
would go back to take more responses. So
Okay,
let's just continue. But thank
okay,
you. Keep dropping them because we would still rewrite it at some point. So yes, please.
okay,
And thank you so much for sharing your
okay.
stories.
Et let me just translate quickly. Alors, il faut continuer à, disons, écrire une ou deux phrases concernant votre business. Il faut écrire une ou deux phrases comme si vous parlez de votre business à un investisseur et une ou deux phrases comme si vous parlez à votre client. Donc, on va revenir à ça. Please, you can continue.
Great. So your audience matters. And I'm really grateful that you shared your stories because already I can tell, yes, okay, here and there. Your audience matters. You know, we said that you can write for different people. You can have different story angles for different people. Of course, you should have a central one, a central descriptor, a central story. But from time to time, you might need to modify depending on whom you're speaking to. So in terms of audience, I mean, there are a long list of audiences that you can speak to, but I've identified a few important ones today. Michelle? Michelle, would you like to take that?
Yeah, sorry, I was on mute. Premièrement, elle est en train de dire que les personnes à qui vous parlez sont très importantes et il y a différents types de personnes, disons, de clients, quoi. Il y a le client, il y a l'investisseur, il y a le public, il y a le gouvernement, il y a les actionnaires. Je can continue.
Okay, great. So for customers, for instance, many times we are focused on the product or service benefit and sometimes even impact, meaning the kind of people that you're impacting with your product, right? For investors, the story might be slightly different, and let me explain. Investors want to see traction. You want someone to drop $50,000. Of course, the person is going to say, does this business have potential, right? Is this business even creating value enough and can I see the potential enough for me to drop money? So from an investor's point of view, you're looking at traction, like the users, number of users, customers, downloads, and on.
I think I was, she's still talking a bit. I'm the one that can't hear.
Your business idea is. For
Okay.
the larger public, you can focus on.
Can I?
For government, you can focus on impact as well. Is that now have lots of shareholders and not just the standard, few shareholders. You can also focus on your share.
Okay. Network. I think there's network issues.
I was trying to send this to the
I think start there. If it's Sinachi, I don't know if you can hear me. I think we lost you there. She's having, it's from my end. It's from my end. Adora, sorry. Please. So she's having net issues. Apologies. She will join us shortly. So our advice will stay tuned. Okay, I think she's back now. Okay.
Oh, sincere apologies. This thing
Yeah.
threw me out. So
Yeah.
yeah. So
You
I
can share your
think
screen.
yeah. So let me come back up.
Okay. So while you're sharing it, let me just, quickly translate. Alors, elle disait que quand vous racontez votre histoire, il faudra que ça dépend. Il faudra penser, disons, aux personnes à qui vous parlez. Par exemple, la manière dont vous allez parler au client à votre client sera différente d'un investisseur ou bien d'un public ou bien du gouvernement et même des actionnaires. Donc, Pour le client, on parlera des produits ou bien des impacts que vous avez faits. Pour un investisseur, vous parlera de, disons, l'attraction ou bien le profit que vous avez eu. Et même pour le public, on parlera de l'impact et, disons, d'une manière qu'on peut vous croire. Pour le gouvernement, on parlera de l'impact. Et pour les actionnaires, vous parlera de votre, disons, votre bilan, quoi. Et we can continue.
Fantastic. So, the first question I would like to ask you today is, what story are you telling and to whom? So look at what you've written, right? And ask yourself, is this, are you telling the story to the right audience? And then what is different about your story? What is different from every other person that is doing the same thing that you're doing? Are you capturing that in your story enough for someone to be interested in listening, further? Or enough for an investors to say, oh yeah, let's just discuss further because I really like it's interesting. So we're going to go into details and we'll be asking that question as we look at our story.
Ok. D'accord. Alors, elle dit que, premièrement, il faut se penser, il faut se demander quelle histoire racontez-vous et à qui? Et une autre chose, c'est que quelle est la chose qui est exceptionnelle dans votre marque et votre histoire? Vous vous rappelez qu'elle nous a donné un exercice à faire, c'est concernant l'écriture d'une ou deux phrases concernant votre business, une description. Il faut écrire comme si vous parlez d'un investisseur à un investisseur ou bien, et même à un client. Donc, elle dit que au cours du webinaire, nous allons revenir à ça. Yeah. Fais ça, tu peux continuer.
Fantastic. So let's go into the story. Now, I'll again remember that I told you I'm a filmmaker, so I'm going to be using that to share the techniques with you. So, in storytelling and in filmmaking, right? When we talk about filmmaking, there's something that we do. We look at the character, who is the hero, who is the main, like the boss, like they say, main. What challenges? What are the conflicts? What are the challenges? What challenges would this person face? Or, yeah, with this person face? And in business, of course, problems will. And then resolution, how do it done? So again, it makes the character and how do they tackle it at the end of the day? That's really not, the beginning and end of every film. But if you bring it into the brand arena, it's really, what do you want to sell? What is the product? What is the service? Because really, there's no company that exists without a product or a service, right? So what is this business selling? What challenges is this brand or is this business trying to tackle, right? And then how does your brand provide a solution to this challenge that we've identified? And then finally, of course, how do we provide this service in a different way? So that's the component of a story.
OK. D'accord. Elle est en train de parler de quelques techniques dans le récit ou bien la narration de votre marque. Donc, elle dit qu'il y a, par exemple, dans la réalisation du film, normalement, il y a le caractère ou bien les personnages plutôt, qui est le héros dans votre histoire. Et même, il y a des conflits. Quelles difficultés font-ils face? À qui elles font face? Et même, il y a la résolution. Comment est-ce que votre marque nous donne ou bien donne aux sociétés une solution à leurs problèmes? Et il y a même la distinction ou bien ce qui vous rend unique. Comment est-ce que votre marque, disons, fournit ou bien donne, disons, des réponses aux problèmes des clients? Et sur ça, elle a parlé de la mission, quoi, la mission de votre marque. Quelle est, quelle est une valeur que vous avez ou bien une solution que vous avez votre business? Quelle est disons, une chose qui vous rend unique? Là, c'est un. Et donc, sur ça, il faudra définir votre mission. Comment est-ce que votre marque donne, disons, des changes dans le monde et même votre vision. Il faut avoir une vision, c'est-à-dire, disons, vous devez savoir où est-ce que vous allez ou bien votre marque. You can
All
continue.
right. Thank you, Michelle. You've even gone ahead of me. So just coming back again to the story, let's take an example of TEF, right? And by the way, let me quickly mention brand mission to catch up with Michelle's French version. So again, unique value proposition. What is the differentiating factor with your business, right? And then, of course, your mission. Mission pretty much says, how does your brand want to change the world, right? What is the difference? How does your brand want to change things in the world? And then vision is very simple. Vision statement is, where are you going? What is the goal? What is the goalpost like, right? So now let us take an example of a brand we all know and we all love, right? The Tony Elumelu Foundation. And let's use that as a case study for this component. When we say who is the character or the hero of your story, who's the hero of your story? It's on Lumelu Foundation in this case, because we are writing from our own point of view. What is the challenge that we identified? The challenge is very unique and very simple. African entrepreneurs do not easily have access to the opportunities that they need to succeed, right? And in terms of resolution, so what is then our story? We've now entered into the market wide to empower African entrepreneurs so that they have access to those opportunities that they need, and they make Africa become a much stronger continent, a much economically stronger continent, right? And how are we doing things differently? It's very simple. We are not just giving grants, mentorship, funding, and training to entrepreneurs. We are even giving it to those that only have business ideas and have not validated their companies or their business ideas. So again, that's the story. And by the time we put it together, that's the story that you heard before you applied for the Tony Elumelu Foundation Entrepreneurship Program. Is the story that all our partners heard before they decided, oh yeah, I would like to be part of this movement, right? Is the story that public sector governments have heard, and they've said, oh yeah, please come, let us work together to empower more entrepreneurs in each of our countries, and on and on and on. Michelle?
Yeah, d'accord, merci. Thank you. Alors, elle a dit que maintenant, concernant l'histoire, vous savez qu'il y a le personnage, le conflit, la résolution et même une chose qui vous distingue des autres. Alors, elle a fait mentionner TIF, la Fondation Tony Melo. La Fondation Tony Melo, c'est le héros dans notre histoire, dans votre histoire en tant qu'entrepreneur. Ah, ça, c'est un. Et deux, concernant le TIF, quelle est disons, la difficulté que la Fondation Telumelo a vue? Elle a vu que dans l'Afrique, il n'y a pas toujours l'accès au financement pour des entrepreneurs. Alors, quelle est la résolution ou bien la solution qu'a proposée la Fondation Telumelo? Elle a vu que, OK, ce qu'on peut faire, c'est que créer ou bien c'est d'aider les entrepreneurs avec, disons, des financements et même des enseignements et même des, des financements qui peuvent les aider dans leur business. Et c'est quoi une chose qui nous distingue ou bien qui distingue à la Fondation Tolinu? C'est le fait que c'est pas juste pour donner, disons, de l'argent ou bien de la finance aux entrepreneurs. Il faut aussi, elle essaie aussi d'attirer des partenaires. Quand ils entendent notre histoire, ça c'est notre marque. Quand ils entendent notre histoire de financer des entrepreneurs, ça les attire et à nous. Et ça, c'est ça, disons, une manière de storytelling de notre part. Et we can continue.
Okay, great. And as we go through these techniques, again, check your story, what you've written, check what you haven't even written, and find out whether you are telling the right story yet.
Okay.
And whether you've established the flow. Now,
Okay,
going
please,
into the next is something.
Let me
Okay,
mention,
sure.
let me just. Alors, vous savez qu'elle nous a donné une exercice concernant narration de votre business, une ou deux phrases. Donc, elle a dit que au cours de notre webinaire, il faut revoir ce que vous avez écrit et en mettant en pratique ce qu'elle enseigne. On continue.
Fantastic. So there's something that I like to call proof points. And proof points actually add flavor to your story. So think about it. You're cooking a pot of soup. You add many ingredients into it, right? So this one is the extra ingredient that makes the soup, much better. Now, proof points, especially for established companies or even for growing, as far as you're a growing company, there are different proof points you can include depending again on the audience you're speaking to. So, for instance, your financials, there are certain audiences you speak to, like investors, that you could then add, oh, we have achieved so in growth, $1 million, $20 million, whatever. To investors, this is good. When you talk about revenue and you talk about profit, they're able to see, okay, there's growth here and there's obviously a good management team behind this.
Ok, d'accord. Ce qu'elle est en train de dire, c'est que en, en disant ou bien racontant une histoire de votre marque, il faut avoir des points de preuve pour qu'on puisse, disons, donner, pour que vous puissiez donner une valeur à votre marque. Ça dépend de ce que vous faites. Exactement. Mais normalement, pour disons, des sociétés qui sont très établies, il y a disons, des impacts que vous pouvez ajouter à votre histoire. Par exemple, il y a votre bilan, votre profit, votre revenu et même, disons, le numéro de votre client, le numéro disons, des employés plutôt que vous avez et même tout ce que vous avez fait, que vous savez que, disons, les partenaires ou bien les clients aimeront. Yeah, please continue.
So there are many other numbers that you can include, like number of paying customers. If you're a business owner and you have like maybe 1,000 paying customers since you started in January, put it there as part of your story because it also helps to add that trust that we mentioned in the beginning. If your maybe you can also add number of users because sometimes it's not every time you have to put paying customers. Sometimes number of users might be much larger, and then you can include that. The number that is most exciting is what you want to include. You can also mention social costs that you support, like the SDGs and the like. You can include that. In fact, it's very important these days, especially for those that want to get grants or any kind of social impact funding. The number of employees or your suppliers or even the people that supply to you, you can also include that there. Again, not everything. Choose the most interesting or just one or two of the most interesting. And of course, you can include number of communities that your business has impacted. That also is. So don't just leave your story blank. Include numbers. If you already have them, if you've maintained some traction, include those numbers because they actually help to get people to trust you more, no matter the audience.
Ok, d'accord. Elle a mentionné, please, can you go back to the slide?
Right. Okay.
Yes, because also a guy. Yeah, donc elle a mentionné le fait qu'il faut mentionner, disons, le nombre disons, le nombre d'employés que vous avez, le nombre d'utilisateurs et même, disons, si vous avez des objectifs de développement durable, il faut ajouter. Mais ça ne veut pas dire que vous devez ajouter tout. Mais il faut, disons, filtrer ou bien voir l'information qui est plus importante et mentionner ça. Donc, pour aider votre marque, mais il ne faut pas laisser votre marque vide parce que ça ne va pas aider dans, disons, attirant des partenaires ou bien des opportunités pour votre marque. Et we can continue.
Yeah. And by the way, let me even give an example of one of the things that really triggered this webinar. One of our entrepreneurs, we were working on, one of our entrepreneurs, we needed to pitch the entrepreneur to, an agency and the like, an agency in climate change. And when we looked at their story, we saw, okay, we had pitched first, right? Thinking that they were in the climate change and climate impact area. However, somebody then called attention to us and said, oh, by the way, they're doing a lot of plastics, right? So they can't be considered climate change. But when we went back to their story, like really opened up the website, read line by line, we saw that, wait, it's really about this land, the way the person was telling their story. Because while they were providing large reservoirs of, water to people in a community, large reservoirs of water, and of course, they were still producing plastics. They actually were contributing to climate change by reducing the number of plastics being produced in that community, right? But the person had not included it in their story and so was not eligible. And so if they had reworked their story in a way that says, oh, look, yes, I produce plastics, but I, produce them in very large reservoirs such that you don't produce the number of plastics ideally you'd have produced in a year. And that way, we are contributing to climate change by reducing plastics, but still providing water to a lot. That would have actually been a deal breaker for that person and for that entrepreneur in that space.
D'accord, elle a raconté une histoire concernant l'importance de parler de votre marque et votre business et ce que vous faites exactement. Elle a dit qu'il y avait une fois, il y avait disons, un concours de pitching et c'était concernant le changement climatique. Et oui, elle a, disons, présenté, disons, aux organisateurs, elle a présenté un entrepreneur qui faisait, disons, un business plutôt concernant plastique, quoi. Et ça, on a pensé que, il n'aide pas, ça n'aide pas dans disons, dans les affaires concernant le changement climatique. Mais plus tard, on a découvert que le business aidait même à réduire la disponibilité ou bien la production des plastiques, quoi. Mais une leçon là, c'est que la personne, l'entrepreneur là, il ne mentionnait pas qu'il aidait, disons, dans la réduction de la production des plastiques, quoi. Il ne mentionnait pas ça. Et à cause de ça, on n'a pas pu, disons, le retenir pour le concours. Alors, en tout, ce qu'elle est en train de dire, c'est que ce que vous faites exactement, il faut le mentionner ou il faut le chanter là, parce que c'est ça qu'on peut, disons, utiliser pour vous croire ou bien pour savoir ce que vous faites ou bien ce que vous, disons, vous essayez d'atteindre, quoi. Et we can continue.
Fantastic. So when you look at your business, one of the questions you want to ask is, what impact am I, making, and how am I including this in my storytelling, right? So moving on to the next. Now, there are different slants you can use for storytelling. Of course, there's a mission, meaning focusing more on your mission. There's a product. Many of us, I'm sure, have focused on product, and it's fine as well. You can even have a mix of, a few. Customer, you can come from the customer impact point of view, the social impact, and of course, your community impact as well. So there are different slants you can use to tell your story. Michelle?
D'accord, ok, d'accord. Elle est en train de dire qu'il y a différentes façons, il y a des différentes méthodes que vous pouvez utiliser pour raconter votre histoire. Vous pouvez utiliser votre mission, c'est-à-dire ce que votre société veut accomplir dans le monde, ou bien vous pouvez parler de votre produit, ou bien vous pouvez parler de votre produit et même les difficultés et même le moment que vous avez gagné. Et même, vous pouvez aussi parler de l'impact que vous avez dans la vie de vos clients. Et aussi, il y a l'impact social, quoi. Vous pouvez parler de ça, ou même, disons, la fierté que vous donnez à votre communauté et même votre culture, disons, votre culture africaine. C'est ça. Et vous can continue.
All right. So another question that we get often, in fact, a lot of once in a while when I discuss with entrepreneurs, they ask the question, must we always refer to the SDGs? Why? Do you get? So the answer is very simple. It depends. It's not all the time, but I still covered it here in the document because for many of us that would want to include the SDGs into our storytelling, and it is these days, like they say, in terms of just global impact, it's very important as well. So again, it depends on whom you're speaking to, whether investors, public, and the like.
Ok, d'accord. Elle dit qu'il y a des fois, que des personnes nous demandent pourquoi est-ce qu'il faut mentionner des objectifs de développement durable dans disons, votre business. Et on pense que pourquoi est-ce que c'est important? Mais elle est en train de dire que c'est très important parce que dans le monde, on voit que quand vous mentionnez, disons, des choses concernant les objectifs de développement durable, on voit que votre business aide vraiment dans, disons, la vie des personnes. On continue.
So for those that would also want to include ESG, SDGs, and the whole social impact into their story, it's important because, of course, it gives you value way beyond profit. You can also, it shows your business is more committed to how we make the world a better place beyond the profit. It appeals to a lot of conscious consumers, especially those, that are very particular about, oh, did we cut all the trees down to make this and the like? Then it appeals to them. It also appeals, of course, to investors and, some savvy funders, people that fund and funding organizations. And then, of course, it builds long-term brand loyalty because if you're doing a business that is impacting generations to come, who would not care about your business?
Oui, ce qu'elle est en train de dire, c'est que elle essaie de parler plus des raisons pour lesquelles il faut mentionner, disons, des objectifs de développement durable de votre business. Une chose, c'est concernant la valeur. Ça donne à votre business la valeur au-delà de revenus. Ça, c'est un, et même naturellement, les clients et les investisseurs, naturellement, ils préfèrent les marques qui, disons, font des choses concernant les objectifs de développement durable. Ça les attire, quoi. Et même une chose, la loyauté. La loyauté dans votre marque, c'est très important parce que si vous voulez, disons, faire des impacts pour des générations, il faudra le faire dans une manière que, disons, concernant qui a, disons, des relations avec des objectifs de développement durable. Parce que c'est ça, c'est une marque comme ça qu'on va croire. Et continue.
Yeah. And let me mention that when you want to include the SDGs into your storytelling, it's not compulsory for you to say, oh, I support SDG 1 and 2 and the like. It's not compulsory. What you can do is just focus on the impact itself, right? For instance, I'm helping to get more, what's the word? I'm helping to provide access to water in communities, or I'm helping to ensure that more children get access to education and the like. That alone covers the social impact that you're covering.
OK, d'accord. Ce qu'elle est en train de dire, c'est que le fait qu'il faut, disons, mentionner, disons, des objectifs de développement durable de votre business, ça ne veut pas dire que vous allez commencer à dire, je fais un objectif de développement durable, dans ceci. Non. C'est juste, ce qui est important, c'est juste de discuter ou bien faire une narration concernant l'impact même que votre business fait. Par exemple, un des objectifs plutôt de développement durable, c'est concernant fournir de l'eau sain aux personnes. Donc, il ne faut pas dire un objectif de développement durable, je fais un non. Il faut dire simplement que vous aidez à donner, disons, de l'eau sain aux personnes et tout ça là. C'est ce qu'elle est en train de dire, te concentrer sur l'impact même. Et on continue.
Right. So how do we do this? How do we include the SDG slant into our stories? Number one, you can highlight a local impact, perhaps how you're creating jobs. In fact, this one is very, very important because many times when we are pitching our TEF alumni and their businesses, we are almost always asking, how many jobs has your business created? How much funding have you got? But more importantly, how many jobs? So it's very important that in certain circles that you include it if your business has indeed hit that traction and has created jobs, right?
OK, d'accord. Alors, ce qu'elle est en train de dire, c'est que pour, disons, mettre, disons, des situations de ce que vous faites concernant des objectifs de développement durable, vous pouvez, par exemple, mentionner combien de postes, quoi, ou bien de jobs que vous avez créés, de l'emploi, des emplois que vous avez créés, parce que c'est très important. Par exemple, nous, dans TIF, dans la fondation Tony Melo, on fait ça. Quand on publie des entrepreneurs, on fait ça continuellement parce que c'est très important. Yeah.
Great. So we also talked about environmental efforts. I wouldn't belabor that. This is, for instance, if your business is already driving climate change or climate action in one way or another, or reducing climate action, then yes, include it in your storytelling. Social responsibility as well. Has your business donated something? Yes, you can actually include it in your story. In one of our businesses, we actively include that in our story saying, oh, this is the amount of donations that have been made to this particular audience that has impacted so number of people. So again, this could be a good slant for your business.
Une autre manière de parler de votre votre impact, c'est concernant, disons, des actions ou bien des choses que vous avez faites concernant les changements climatiques, par exemple, concernant la réduction de la production de plastique. Ça, c'est un exemple. Et même des choses que vous avez faites dans votre communauté, votre responsabilité sociale dans votre communauté. Comment est-ce que vous avez, disons, faire des choses bénévolat et même des donations et tout ça là. Yeah.
Great. So now we're going down to, I think this should be the last or the second to last slide. We're now looking at practical tips now that you can, include. Again, be looking at your story as we are talking. Yeah.
Okay.
So, okay,
D'accord.
let me wait for.
OK. D'accord. Ceci, c'est, disons, on approche à la fin et ce qu'elle est en train de dire, c'est qu'il y a, disons, elle veut nous donner disons, des enseignements pratiques qu'on peut utiliser dans votre marque ou bien pour raconter votre histoire. Donc, rappelez-vous de l'exercice qu'elle nous a donné et mettre ça en pratique en écoutant à ce qu'elle a à dire maintenant. Let's continue.
Okay. So number one, your why. And sometimes when we see it in books, you're like, which one is this one again? It's talking over my head. It simply means, why did you even start this business? And what do you want to achieve with this business? That's pretty much it. So when they say find your why, they're asking you to include your purpose, the reason why you started the business, what you identified that made you say, let me even do this, right? And what drives you. So you can include that in your story, because people, especially for small and growing businesses where the founder is usually the star of the business, your why is even more important for such a business.
D'accord. Elle a dit qu'il faut trouver votre pourquoi. Le pourquoi. Pourquoi est-ce que votre business était créé? En tant que fondateur de votre business, quand vous parlez de votre pourquoi, disons, on va vous croire. Donc, il faut toujours parler pourquoi est-ce que la mission de votre business, le but, quoi. Il faut utiliser comme le cœur de votre histoire. Continue.
Okay. So of course you have to be authentic and transparent, use real stories where possible. So for this purpose, we are only doing 1-2 sentences, but obviously you have the opportunity to do a more detailed about us that is not too long, but at least captures the heart in like 3-4 sentences. So include real stories that, captures the essence of your brand, and use visuals, use testimonials in different formats, because this brings your story to life. You can use that in your continuous storytelling, not just in the descriptor, but just as a going forward basis.
OK, d'accord. Deuxièmement, elle a dit qu'il faut être authentique et transparent en utilisant des histoires vraies ou bien des histoires personnelles, parce que ça, disons, ça relate plutôt aux gens comme en tant qu'être, quand on n'est pas authentique ou transparent, ça ne va pas relater très bien disons, à votre client. Et une autre chose qu'elle a mentionné, c'est concernant l'utilisation des photos et des vidéos et même des testimonials ou bien des témoins plutôt de votre client. Donc, quand on voit ça, on est attiré à votre marque. Please continue.
Yeah. I've mentioned the use of real people to tell the stories you can tell the journey, right? That's another angle in terms of storytelling. You can tell the journey of your customers, your employees, even your own story as a founder. Feel free to tell the story, because people relate with that story, in your storytelling. Of course, be consistent. Very important that you're consistent in your story across all the platforms. Ensure that whatever you're saying, that at least there are links to it. Even though you're speaking to different audiences, but the heart of your story should be the same, and there should be links to each of them so that they interact with each other. Michelle?
Yeah, please continue. Continue. I would just continue to the end. I will translate to the end.
Okay. Now, how you tell your story also matters. And let me explain. Back in the day, many years ago, when I used to run a small business, in fact, it was just me in that business. I was providing consulting services to other small businesses as well, especially in the area of marketing. Now, one of the things that I knew then, it was me and one other person handling the business. But instead of me to just say, oh, this business, this, which I've seen many small business owners do, use words that show numbers, that show skill, that show presence, that show, ambition. Use words like we. Use second person like you. We provide you with this, right? It shows skill, even if you are just a solopreneur, it's just you in that business. But it shows that, there's skill and that you have ambition to grow further. Consistency is very important. In business, I know and I understand that at some point you might want to pivot, which is very fine because sometimes you don't get it right every single time. But even if you want to pivot, ensure that there's consistency in your flow of, in the flow of your storytelling. Use numbers, extremely important. We've talked about the kind of numbers you can use, number of customers, number of your reach, your geographic reach, your financial numbers, and on and on. So feel free to use numbers. In fact, some of you that have already shared with us today your story, look at that story again and ask yourself, what kind of numbers should I be including? Should I be saying by now that I've trained 30 people, 50 people, 100 people in this area? If the number is interesting, please choose the most interesting number you have. So if that's interesting, please feel free to include that, right? We've talked about the impact, including impact into your story, and then always talk about your business growth and potential. And let me explain. If you say, for instance, right now, we have served maybe 1,000 customers. That 1,000 will not be 1,000 by next month, right? It's growing. So you have to ensure that you're putting in some words that show skill and movement. So for instance, you can say, we have provided services to 1,000 customers and growing. Or in 12 months, we have provided this service to 1,000 customers, and we have the skill to provide to thousands more. Now, anybody that picks that up immediately says, wow, this business is really growing fast. I should be part of this movement. So again, your story really matters. Yeah? Michelle? Michelle?
Ah, sorry, I was on mute. Yeah, ce qu'elle entend dire, c'est que pour le numéro 4, elle parle de l'importance de parler des histoires des personnes vraies. Parce que il faut montrer à vos clients, vos employés, il faut montrer à vos clients plutôt la journée ou bien la journée de votre client, votre employé et même vous en tant que fondateur, quoi. Et ça va les engager. Et une autre chose qu'elle a mentionnée, c'est que la cohérence est très importante. C'est un clé. Il faut faire d'une manière que votre histoire est très cohérente et continue dans n'importe quelle plateforme que vous utilisez disons, à faire un récit. Et une autre chose qu'elle a mentionnée, c'est que comment la manière dont vous parlez de votre histoire ou bien de votre marque est très importante. Elle a utilisé elle-même comme un exemple. Elle a dit que quand elle était un entrepreneur débutante, elle travaillait quelque part. C'était, disons, il y a 2 ans. Elle a utilisé le mot toujours nous. Il faut toujours utiliser le mot nous, pas juste je, non. Il faut utiliser le mot nous et même vous. Par exemple, nous vous donnons des valeurs et tout ça là. Donc, il faut utiliser le mot nous et le mot vous, toujours. Et même, elle a parlé de, disons, la consistance, la cohérence aussi. Elle a parlé que c'est très important. Elle a parlé des chiffres, quoi. Il faut toujours mentionner vos chiffres. Si vous voyez que, OK, peut-être vous avez eu, disons, des chiffres qui est très grand, peut-être dans votre revenu ou bien dans votre profit et tout ça là. Ou bien votre bénéfice plutôt. Il faut toujours mentionner ça parce que ça, c'est très important. C'est ce on veut entendre, quoi. Et dernièrement, elle a parlé de la croissance de votre business et le potentiel qu'il a. Il faut toujours chanter de ça, il faut toujours mentionner ça parce qu'on veut voir que, OK, par exemple, l'année dernière, vous aviez, disons, 10 employés, mais maintenant, vous avez disons, 20 employés. C'est ce qu'elle est en train de dire, qu'il faut toujours mentionner ou bien chanter de la croissance de votre business et le potentiel qu'elle a. Et vous can continue.
Right. So authenticity is very key. Be authentic. and ensure that your stories are simple enough for people to understand. And I can give you an example. A few weeks ago, someone sent me a brochure about, we talked about his business, and then he sent me a brochure. For the life of me, I spent like 1 hour trying to understand what this business offers, and I still could not understand. In fact, I sent it to someone else to explain, to look and explain. Let me know whether maybe I'd not eaten that afternoon. But the same person, the next person looked at it and could not understand at all. So please simplify your story. There's no award for grammar in storytelling, in your brand story. There's no award at all. Just let people understand exactly what you're offering and the emotional value that you're offering.
Ok, d'accord. Ce qu'elle est en train de dire, c'est que l'authenticité, c'est clé dans votre business. Elle a parlé d'une histoire alors, elle a dit que il y avait une fois que quelqu'un lui a envoyé, disons, un document concernant son business et elle n'a pas compris. Elle l'a même donné à, disons, sa collègue, quoi. Oui, oui, à sa collègue à lire, quoi, ou bien à comprendre, mais sa collègue même n'a pas compris. Donc, ce qu'elle est en train de dire, c'est que il ne faut pas être il faut être clair plutôt. Il faut être clair quand vous parlez de votre business, parce on ne va pas vous donner, disons, il faut être simplistique. La simplicité, c'est très important quand vous parlez de votre business, quoi. Donc, il faut la simplifier pour que quand on voit, disons, votre histoire ou bien votre marque, on comprendra facilement ce dont parle votre business. Et vous can continue.
Yeah. All right. So again, we're back to the beginning. So I don't think we would have so much time to take this, but it would be lovely if you can just again look at your story, what you sent before, and then with all the things we've learned today, take notes and write down, the numbers, the impact, everything else you want to use to flesh your story. And please feel free to reshare your story, right here, in the chat box so that we can always go back to it and refer to it. And if you would like to also just discuss with us to say, oh, my story, I think my story still needs more work, please feel free to reach out to the foundation and, make that request. We would try to attend to as many as we can, maybe not all, but we'll try very hard, maybe over a period of time that will be agreed. But if you do need some form of, consultation regarding your story, that's why we're all here to support you and to help your business, grow. So I think on that note, we've come to the Q&A, which is the end. Michelle, do we have time to take a few questions?
We should. Yes, we do. We do. Maybe like, let's say 4, 5. D'accord, let me quickly say what you said in French.
Sure.
D'accord, elle a parlé du fait que, vous savez qu'elle nous a donné un exercice concernant, disons, une ou deux phrases pour, disons, faire une description de votre business, premièrement à un investisseur et, disons, une ou deux phrases de votre business à, disons, des clients. Donc, elle a parlé de ça et elle a dit que, à cause du temps, oui, on va peut-être parler de ça, mais si vous voulez, disons, des enseignements concernant comment parler de votre marque et tout ça là, oui, on peut, disons, faire un arrangement, quoi, ou bien on peut faire ce qu'on peut faire pour vous aider plus, même en dehors de cette réunion, on peut parler de ça plus tard. Mais maintenant, vous pouvez, si vous avez des questions à poser, vous pouvez maintenant poser vos questions concernant la marque. Yeah. So,
Fantastic. So
so
questions.
so if you have any questions, please, this is the time you can ask. So yes, while waiting for the questions, I think they should be responding now. But while waiting, what do you think about reading out some of the 1 or 2 sentences?
Okay, sure,
Can do
sure.
that. Yeah, sure.
Yeah.
So, one of them said, okay, let me read the one. There's one that was in French just now. Let me read that because I've been reading English since. Where is it? Where is it? Okay, good. So for investisseur, he said, for investor, for investor, he said, now his business name is Genetic Media Entertainment. So now this is him selling his brand. He said, invest in Genetic Media Entertainment, where African culture meets innovation to impact millions. That's what he said for investor. Then he has not spoken for clients, but another person, French-speaking person, said, now for consumers, said we offer live chicken products with responsible techniques that guarantee the well-being and of our clients. Yeah. Then let
Okay.
me check if there
Let
are
me
questions.
let me
Okay.
pause a bit. So for the first person, I think there's definitely a need to simplify it. It's still
Okay.
above our heads. So you need to
Okay.
simplify your story. And again, like we've all learned today, include numbers, include experience, personal experience, or what have you. In fact, there's a pitch that I worked on a few days ago. Is a pitch for a new, what do you call it now, a new interview session series, right? And one of the things that I needed to do is just to explain what exactly the challenge is. And in one line, I just said, you know what? Business is hard. That was the challenge. And that's the reason why we're having the interview series. So you have to find a way to work in. Remember what we talked about, the actor, the challenge, the way your brand is solving it. So simplify. And then for the second person, um, could you take that again? Because I had chicken products and then
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah. So I'm scrolling to it now. So that's Marceline Futatuka. So her name, she's speaking to clients now. She said, we offer live chicken. Yeah. Okay. We offer live chicken products with responsible techniques that guarantee the well-being and good health of our customers.
When you say responsible products, that again is ambiguous, right?
Yeah.
Or maybe it's lost in translation, maybe. Because if you say you offer live chicken product
With
with
responsible techniques, rather.
responsible techniques. Okay, so
Responsible
the
techniques, rather.
technique, is it for the live chicken? Is it for the client? So there's a lot of ambiguity in your storytelling, which you obviously need to simplify. That's what I'll tell the entrepreneur. You need to
Okay.
simplify this. What exactly are you selling, and how are you doing this? Yeah.
Okay, let me, since she's a French person, she should be hearing me. So let me say, alors, Marceline, ce qu'elle est en train de dire, c'est concernant votre commentaire au consommateur, elle dit que oui, c'est une bonne histoire, mais vous devez disons, simplifier si vous parlez de ça. Il faut être plus simple dans votre récit, mais c'est bon. Okay.
All right. So any
Okay,
question?
yeah, we have two questions.
Okay, good.
So from the first one is from Daritas Care Foundation. So it says, my question is, can one story change over time, judging by the current economic situation? Oui,
Okay.
sorry. Alors, quelqu'un a demandé, Daritas Care Foundation a posé une question. Elle a dit que est-ce que l'histoire de quelqu'un peut changer après quelque temps si on voit, disons, la situation économique dans le pays? Est-ce que, disons, ça peut affecter l'histoire d'un business? Okay. Yeah. So we can continue.
Okay. So very good question, and I totally understand why we're asking this question. So, well, there's something in business that is called pivoting, right? Meaning I've started on this track, but at some point, some things have changed, and I've decided, you know what, let me move my or let me look at another audience, or let me produce or sell another product, right? Or service, still using my brand name. Now, in terms of pivoting, yes, you are allowed to pivot, whether economy or no economy. If it's working, it's working. If it's not working, change, right? And so it is fine for you to pivot. But in terms of your storytelling, can your story change? Your story could change, but it has to be clearly tied to an incident or, something. So if indeed it is a pivot, like I am changing my product or I'm changing my service or whatever, then make it clear. And it's fine for you to be truthful, transparent, and carry your customers along. Guys, we were offering this, but we've seen that there's much larger potential here. And so we are moving into this. Please come along with me, as this is now our new mission and service. And that's totally fine. It's again how you tell your story and how you craft it and how you carry people along that matters.
Okay.
Okay,
D'accord.
Michelle?
Okay. D'accord. Okay. Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Ok,
Yes.
d'accord. Ok. Alors, ce qu'elle est en train de dire, c'est que le fait de, disons, changer de business, quoi, c'est naturel parce que il y a quelques fois que vous pouvez planifier un business et à faire comme ça ou bien comme ci, mais des choses peuvent arriver qui peuvent vous faire de changer d'esprit. C'est normal, mais une chose qu'elle dit, c'est que en faisant cela, il faut toujours avoir des raisons ou bien des histoires à montrer. Si vous voulez changer, OK, d'ici et vous voulez changer à un autre business, il faut avoir une histoire à dire à vos clients que, OK, nous offrons ceci maintenant et pas juste laisser comme ça. Il faut avoir toujours une histoire à vous suivre dans votre, soit le changement ou bien le secteur où que vous voulez, disons, euh, entreprendre. Yeah, we can. So we have another question. We have another question. Is it? So
Yes,
this
please go
question,
ahead.
yeah, so this question is from Ohale Kelechi. Said, can we write a story on our brand, mainly focusing on eliminating adulterated food and providing employment for the community youths? So let me read it again. Can we write a story on our brand, mainly focusing on eliminating adulterated food and providing employment for the community youths? So let me translate it.
Oh, yes.
Let me translate it, sorry.
Okay,
So,
let me. Okay, sure.
yeah. So, Ohale Kelechi, elle a posé une question. Elle a demandé si on peut écrire une histoire de notre marque en concentrant, disons, en éliminant des produits ou bien des nourritures adultérées et en, disons, fournissant des emplois pour les jeunes. So we can continue.
Okay. So, yes, you can. However, it's not that straightforward. The first question I'll ask is, what does your product or what are you offering? What does your company offer first? Before we now say, okay, this is the problem it's solving. Remember, we have to first of all identify the hero and what the hero is doing. So for me to answer this question you've asked, I would need to know what exactly your product is offering. And then we can now tie it to how this product is eliminating adulterated products and also creating employment for the youth. Totally. So it's yes, there's a link, but we have to know first what the product is.
Ok, alors concernant la question qu'Ohale a posée concernant éliminant des produits ou bien des nourritures adultérées, fournissant des emplois pour les jeunes, euh, notre facilitatrice a dit que oui, c'est possible, on peut faire votre marque comme ça, mais toujours, il faut toujours savoir ce que faire ou bien avoir dans l'esprit. La première chose est de savoir quelle est la solution que votre marque ou bien votre business offre? C'est ça la première question. Oui, il y a un lien, mais si votre business ou bien s'il n'y a rien que votre business offre disons, aux clients, ça ne sera ou bien ça ne sera pas possible. Donc, c'est la première chose, c'est que quelle est la solution que votre brand ou bien votre marque donne aux communautés?
Thank you.
Yeah.
Michelle, that's it.
Yeah, I think that should be it for now. Yeah, but
Okay.
Daritas Care Foundations, there are just some comments, little comments. I'll just quickly read them out. So Daritas Care Foundation, you responded to her just now. She said, "Thank you so much for the clarity." And yeah, there are other comments as well, but because of time, I will just say, yeah, Sandrine Medefo says it's a very vital information she keeps every day. Some of them are talking about their businesses and all that. But yeah, but Ifesinachi, thank you very much for this really, really insightful session. The comment section is really rolling with a lot of comments, but because of time,
Sure.
yeah, merci bien à tous pour pour ce webinaire, pour avoir attendu ce webinaire et on prie que, disons, peut-être la semaine prochaine, on va faire des choses ainsi, des webinaires comme ci et il faudra, disons, rester connecté toujours. So thank you very much, everyone, for your time for this session. It was a very insightful one, and I really hope we would be able to, impute a lot of these things that, our facilitator has said into our businesses, because that's the core, that's why we are here. J'espère que tout ce qu'on a appris ici, on pourra le faire dans notre business, parce que ça, c'est le but de ce webinaire. Thank you very much, everyone. Yeah.
Thank you,
Faith
Michelle,
and
for
Michelle.
having me. And don't forget, if you do need to still ask questions, you can always pass it to the foundation. All the best in your business journey.
Yeah. Elle a dit que si vous avez des questions à poser, peut-être concernant votre marque, vous pouvez nous demander dans la fondation. On répondra à votre question. Thank you very much. Merci à tous. Bonne journée. Thank you very much. Have a nice day. Yeah, take care. Bye.
Yeah, bye.